Hey guys, I'm your host, Steve Crisell, and this is the Get Up and Get Out podcast. On today's show, we have Stefan Boster, an American from Brooklyn via Florida, who decided to start living his life on his terms and found his Zen home in both Bangkok, Thailand and Ekaterinburg, Russia. Stefan is a retired respiratory specialist and a musically talented individual who will be singing for us shortly. In today's show, we will discuss what a dying patient said to him in a hospital that taught him about making his dreams come true. Also, we'll talk about his first session of shashlik and banya, how he said goodbye to his host family at the airport, visiting Lenin's tomb, getting a job working at a hospital in Perm, discussing the differences between Russia and the US, how living small has something to do with James Bond, and everybody needs to go somewhere where they belong in order to find their Zen home. And lastly, we will talk about some advice that he gives to all of us on living our best life.
You know they call it Stormy Monday, Tuesday just as bad. You know they call it Stormy Monday, Tuesday just as bad. Know that Wednesday's worse, Thursday I feel oh so sad. Oh, the eagle flies on Friday, Saturday I go out and I play. You know the eagle flies on Friday, Saturday I go out and I play. Then I go to church on Sunday, and I get down on my knees and I pray. But not today, because of that Rona. Everybody's staying at home. Steve, let's do a shot. Oh, yeah, let's have a little drink. That's right. To beating that Rona.
За встречу to our meeting.
Красавин женщинам.
Красавиce женщины. Beautiful women.
Yeah, that's right.
Women. Stefan, I want to
Let's
welcome
be with you here today, sir.
A man of many glasses and one hat. Stefan, would you be so kind and just kind of give people a background as to a little bit about who you are, where you've been, and what you're currently doing?
Well, I was a respiratory therapist in America for 35 years, working at the hospital, and looking for something more in my life as I got older. And I'll tell you a little story that changed my life. I was working with the patients and doing our stressful business, and there was a woman there, older woman. She was 64 years old, and she had a bad stroke. She was not going to make it. It was horrible. And she was laying there on a ventilator and all that. Her whole family was there with her. It was very nice that she had her large, loving family there to support her. Mm-hmm. While I was working with her, I saw on the wall of her room was a big poster of Diamond Head in Hawaii.
What was it?
Diamond Head, the mountain in Hawaii on Waikiki Beach.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and her family was saying to her, "Come on, Grandma, you're strong. You can make it. You're going to get there." And I wondered what they meant. And so later I asked them, what did you mean by that? And they said that Grandma spent her life taking care of her children and her children's children. And her big dream when she was 65 was to start traveling. And the first thing she wanted to do was see Diamond Head. Mm-hmm. Well, she's 64 and she's in the bed. She's done. The next day, I bought a plane ticket and started going places. Became a DJ, wedding DJ, joined a band, started doing some theater, but mostly traveling. And maybe 2 years later, I went to Diamond Head, and I'm sitting there on Waikiki Beach, and I had a chat with this woman. She was long gone, long dead. And I said, "You didn't know me, but you changed my life. And here I am at Diamond Head for you, because you changed my life." So since then, I've been, I was working more, and then I stopped working about 10 years ago. and sold everything, gave away everything, grabbed onto my pension, and started traveling around the world.
Now, a little backstory for everybody.
Yeah,
Where were you born?
I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and but I left there when I was 6. Went down to live in St. Petersburg,
St.
Florida.
Petersburg,
So
Florida.
I grew up in Florida, and
Okay.
then I joined the military and was traveling around England and
What branch?
Alaska places. Air Force.
Okay.
So, but now I typically stay when I'm not in Russia during the summer. I typically stay in Bangkok or Penang. I like Asia very much, and I spend actually most of my time there because I decided a couple of years ago I didn't want to be cold anymore, and I wanted to kind of be where it was always warm.
So when did you decide to make the move from the States to anywhere outside, whether it was to Thailand or to Russia?
Well, Thailand is in the more recent past, but
Okay.
but in around 2005, I was knowing that I wanted to come to Russia for an extended period of time, and I had a couple of Russian friends at the hospital where I worked, and I knew I wanted to do this thing, and I knew that I needed contacts before I went, and so I was looking for a catalyst, somebody to make it happen for me.
Okay.
Somebody to make it happen, take me to the next level. So one day at work, I was just sitting with my colleagues, and this new girl comes in. It's her first day at work, and I was listening to her, and I could tell that she had a Russian accent. And I said, are you from Russia? And she says, oh yes. I said, you don't know me, but you're going to change my life.
Wow.
You are the person I've been waiting for. And of course, she
It's like
looked
a
at me
total
like,
stranger.
it was this guy. It was this guy. And that's exactly how it happened. She was the catalyst to make it happen. She encouraged me to come to Perm, not Moscow, not St. Petersburg, but to Perm in the Ural Mountains, 1,000 kilometers east of
Sure.
Moscow. And she got me in contact with her family and some of her friends. So before I came, I already knew people. And if I had a good piece of advice for anyone wanting to go to Russia, is that don't try to go alone. It's not Disney World. You can't just kind of step into it. People will be suspicious of you because Russians, as you know, generally, their friends and their family, they will take a bullet for their friends and
Sure.
family. But if I don't know you, F you.
That's
You
right.
know.
If you come by yourself, you might learn by going to some sort of bar that's frequented a lot by expats in the expat community. You might find out through the grapevine that a certain website will help you in that search, but it's all in Russian, right? So now you have to either use the power of the internet to translate everything there, but then you have to call these people, right? And so
Yes.
every single apartment that I have lived in, I've only lived in two, but every single apartment that I've lived in, and many of my friends who have found apartments have all been through connections.
Exactly. That's what happened to me once when I was trying to find an apartment. I made the mistake of paying, 5 or 6 thousand rubles to some realtor. To basically what it was just a list of phone numbers,
Right.
and I had to go there with a friend, and it was all terrible. The places were terrible. It was, there's no apartment complexes like in America. It's all condos owned by people,
Right.
and you have a good owner. Even if you like the apartment, the owner might be hellish to
Yeah.
be around. So after a few days of dragging my feet on that, I just went to VK Contacte.
Yep.
I said, I'm looking for an apartment to my friends, my many friends on Contacte. I said, I'm looking for an apartment. Within the day, somebody said, oh, I know somebody who's who's looking to rent their apartment. And it was done. Perfect. I stayed there for 2 years, and it was just a friend that knew somebody who was renting an apartment. So it had nothing to do with spending money
Right.
and she was a perfect owner. Had a great experience. It was fun, but it was all about who you know.
Now,
I'll tell you a little story about work because you might
let me
asked me a question about work.
hold on a second. Let me just,
So,
I just want to let the audience know about this VK.com. So it's basically the Russian version of Facebook, and it's very popular. So if you're ever interested, you guys can go to VK as in Victor. I don't know. Kilo, right? VK.com, and it's the Russian version of Facebook, and it's similar, and it poses a lot of positives. Meeting people and getting acquainted. So on with your story.
what was I saying? I forgot. Yes. About Banya. This is about Banya and a job.
Banya and a job.
Banya and a job. So as many people know, and it took me months to explain Banya to my American friends, the real Russian soul, deep meaning of Banya. It's not just a sauna. It's where good friends go to and they will remain friends for their lives. Contacts are made. Opportunities are made. It's all good.
Yeah. So it's the golf course. It's the American version of the golf course.
With vodka and food and getting beaten with branches. And so I was there with my friends, and I had met a doctor at a hospital.
Okay.
And he had said, "Oh yes, I want you to come work for me." I said, "Oh, this is good. I'll get a work permit, and I'm set."
So you met this guy in Banya.
No, I met him because I had toured some hospitals in the area to find out about Russian medicine, and I met him there when I was doing like a tour of Russian hospitals, so I could report back to my friends in America what Russian medicine was all about, what kind of equipment they had, all that. And so he said, I really want you to work for me because we have no respiratory therapists in Russia, and you can come work for me. And so he said that, and then I met him a couple of times, and he continued to say that, but then he never contacted me back. And so I went to a few months later. I went to Banya with my friends, and one of my Banya friends had been in the KGB a long time ago. Lovely guy, wonderful friend, but in days gone by, he had been in KGB. And so I'm telling. He asked me, "Oh, what happened to your hospital job?" I said, I can't get the guy to contact me. He told me he would give me a job, but now he hasn't contacted me." He said, "I'll call him." In 2 days, I had a job. He called that guy, called the doctor, and said, "Hey, what are you doing with my friend Stefan? He's supposed to be getting a job." And the doctor is now like this, that now he's the KGB guy who had some power and certainly knew how to talk to him. And said, "What's wrong with you? You said you were going to give Stefan a job."
Yeah.
2 days, I had a job.
But I want to go back to maybe the story about you at the airport and saying goodbye to your family. Would you?
Well, I'll tell you. I have to kind of tell you two little stories here. The two moments equally important that really changed my life and told me that what I was doing was the right thing. Because if you're making changes like that, selling everything, going to another place, you can't have any regrets. You can't say, "Oh, I was back and I wish I was back here." No, then you should not have done it. You have to think it through. And so I'd been in Param for 24 hours. One of my new friends said, "Oh, tonight we're going to Banya and do shashlik." I said, "Okay, let's find out about this Banya and shashlik."
Right.
So they took me to this wood house on the outskirts of the city, and it was February. The snow was up to your knees, and it was minus 20. Really? And so we all went to the backyard, and we were cooking shashlik, like kebabs, on an open fire. Stars in the sky. Every 15 minutes, the women would bring out vodka, and we would have a shot while we were cooking the shashlik. Right. And so, in a moment there, for some reason, I was alone outside with the shashlik, with the stars in the sky, the vodka, and I said, minus 20. It was all there. I said, I had that wake up moment. I said, "Okay, you wanted this thing. Well, this is that thing." and now you're going to have to go. Now you're going to have to walk this walk. You can't turn away. You can't have any regrets. And so after a few visits to go to Perm, I was leaving Perm to go back to the U.S. to go back to work, and my whole family there was seeing me off at the airport. And in the Perm airport, there was a small terminal, and then next to it was a fence, and so that you could see the airplanes. And so I went through customs, and they said goodbye. And from the time I said goodbye to them at customs to the time I actually got on the plane was over an hour. And so I got on the plane, and I'm sitting on the plane, and I just happened to be sitting on the side of the plane that faced the terminal when the plane turned to go to the taxiway. I could have been on the other side of the plane. I never would have seen them. But because I was on that side of the plane, and as the plane turned, all 7, 8 of my family were at that fence, all waving goodbye. They didn't know if I could see them, but they had waited over an hour to wave goodbye to me as the plane left. I cried for an hour. I knew I had made the right decision, because now I had this family that I did not deserve, and they loved me, and I never looked back. It was it was one of those moments.
It's amazing. Now, for me, I left the country when I was 32.
Mm-hmm.
So, I did have adult-ish relationships with guy friends that I thought were pretty solid. And ever since I left, I've never heard from any of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, I lived in Germany for a few years, and I'm still in touch with several.
Yep.
I call them good friends because, I can go months without talking to them, and then out of nowhere, I'll just call them, and then we just pick up right where we left off. But it's just, I don't know. What is your experience with that?
Well, I always say that you cannot call yourself an adult until you've seen the world from someone else's point of view. And a lot of people that I meet in Russia, they ask me, what's going on in America? I say, well, the problem in America is that only about 35-40% of people have a passport. Why? Maybe they don't have money, maybe they don't have any dreams, but mostly it's because, generally speaking, Americans really don't care about anyone else's point of view. And it's just distressing for me to see that. But of course, whenever you go abroad, you're not just representing yourself as a person. You don't want to be a jerk as a person, but you're also representing the soul of America. And so when you meet people, and if they see that you're sincere, that you're a nice person, that you're compassionate, they're going to react to you in a very sincere, compassionate, friends for life sort of way. It won't be the way that Americans respond to that kind of conduct. It'll be some wonderful new thing that you're not accustomed to. And so that's why a lot of reason why people do travel is because everyone needs to go where they belong. Because you know how you feel if you're not where you belong. You've got this yearning inside of you that says, I've got to go someplace where people will love me, they think the same way as I do, or they're more compassionate than what I've been accustomed to. And so when you get to somewhere where you know you belong, it just gives you like a peace inside.
Yeah.
And it helps you to become a better person. Even better than you were,
yeah.
but that's one of the disadvantages, or one of the saddening things for me about America is that they just really don't care about anybody but themselves. And I also talk about America in this way. Oh, I have Russian friends that say, oh, I I want to go to America. Like America will just give me money, and it'll be the streets paved with gold, and all that. And I would say to them, no, America is like a meritocracy. It's if you have a talent, if you have education, but mostly if you have a good idea, then America loves you. But if you don't have a good idea, you just go there thinking, oh, it will all just come to me. Well, you'll be working at McDonald's, and you're going to have a tough life. You're going to have as hard a life as you're having now in Russia. It's not going to be any better. But if you go there with an idea, and I have some friends who did go to America with an idea, and they're being very successful, but they didn't go until their idea was firmly established and their goal was firmly established. Yeah. As you know, there are Russians who are hateful, jealous, just not nice people. Yeah. And then there are Russians who are energetic, optimistic. They're making their dreams come true, and of course, people who are like that like to be around people who are also like that. So let all the
that positivity feeds like a circle. Yeah, exactly. And the negativity too. I mean,
unfortunately, yes, it does feed off itself. And I know some negative people, and it's just my heart aches when I see them, because I see their dreams will never come true. They won't let them. And one big question that a lot of Russians used to ask me for years, they would say, "Why are you here?" And I say, "Oh, I like Russia very much." No. Why are you here in Perm? Why are you here?
Hey guys, you are listening to the Get Up and Get Out podcast. This is episode 009 with Stefan Boster. Just wanted to say thank you for listening. We're going to keep it rolling here, and we're going to get right back into the show while Stefan Boster unravels his desire to learn about the Russian soul. So let's get back into the show.
And I would say something like I want to get the Ruskaya Dusha, the Russian soul. Mm-hmm. And when I first started to come to Perm, they would say, "Oh, you will never learn the Russian soul. It will take you 3 lifetimes to learn the Russian soul." And so fast forward a few years, and they would ask me the same question, and I would say, "Oh, I want to see the Russian soul," and they would be appreciative. Something had changed where they understood that it's okay to say that you want to do that. Mm-hmm. And they were appreciative that I would mention that, and that I would actually want to genuinely understand the Russian soul.
Right.
So that was maybe 8 years ago. So fast forward another few years, another group of people would say, "Why are you here?" And I would say, "I want to get the Russian soul." And they would say, "Oh, do you think you know about the Russian soul?" I said, "Well, yeah, after 15 years, I think I get it a little bit." And they'd say, "Oh, you tell me what the Russian soul is. I don't know."
I don't know.
There's you understand it? You explain it to me, because I don't know. And that was a very revealing statement from them, because I understand that social, cultural life in Russia has changed very quickly compared to America. Yeah. What took us 40, 50 years to get to, they've done it in less than 15 years. I used to say, because I was older, I used to say, "Oh man, I wish I'd been here when I was 30. Oh man, the women, the this, the that, everything else." But actually, no, I would not have wanted to be here when I was 30, because life here was terrible then. Yeah. It's only been in the last few years when you could use your cell phone to do everything. Sure. And my Russian friends always ask me, "What's the difference between America and Russia?" And I say, well, really very little, just in the details. But because of the cell phone and the ease that people can do logistical things like banking and travel, yeah. The differences are just in the details. It's all very much the same now. The life you know now, you could live it in America just if you learn the details. Like I had to learn the details when I came to Russia. And so, of course, if you're living on 15,000 rubles a month, your life is difficult. But if you're in America and you're working at McDonald's and you have a wife and 2 kids, your life is equally difficult.
Just so you guys know, 15,000 rubles is just about a little over $200. It's
Yeah, especially recently,
yeah,
since the ruble has gone from like 55 to like
70.
75.
Yeah, yeah. It's
It,
stable at about 75 right now. But yeah,
yeah,
I
which
mean,
is outrageous if you have dollars. I mean, if you have dollars, you're the king of the world.
yeah,
But for Russians, their earning power has decreased over time. And it can be horrific, when you don't, an American might have 10 pairs of jeans, 20 shirts, 30 dresses, 15 pairs of shoes, all this. Where in Russia, well, you're going to have 2 pairs of jeans, 2 dresses,
right.
2 pairs of shoes, and you're going to keep them nice because that's what you
Yeah, they
got.
keep them nice for a long time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And you can always tell if there's some guy who's in his 50s and 60s, he's walking around, and you can see by the way he dresses that he's had that coat, he's had that pair of pants, that sweater, he's had it since like 1985. Because, because,
yeah. Go on, go on.
because that's all the money, he doesn't have money to go to the mall to
Yeah,
shop at
just
all.
lavishly, just spend their money. They don't have that luxury. But in the same way, most of Americans don't even have an emergency fund. They're living paycheck to paycheck. So, I mean, they're living in a highly advertising world where things are just thrown at them. You need the newest this, you need the newest that. And in Russia, it's just turning into that in the last 8 years, 10 years.
Yes, the debt society. People are borrowing money to
Yeah.
repair their home, to go on vacation, and now they're becoming debt heavy,
Right.
and it's devastating to them. Devastating. Oh, horrible.
I wanted to tell you a quick story related to the things that we can do here with our cell phones, right? Which I don't think we can do in the States. I was pulled over by the police about a month ago for jaywalking. I was
Whoa.
walking across the street, not in the crosswalk or the
Yes.
zebra, as we call it. I was
Yes.
with my wife and and our 2 dogs, and a police car stopped to let us. What I thought was to let us safely across. Turns the lights on, and he's like, "Yep, hold the dogs and stand on the side of the road."
Yeah.
So I get a ticket for jaywalking. Mind you, this ticket is 250 rubles. Everybody else in the world on dollars, it's about $3.
Yeah.
And actually, I'll back up. The fine was 500 rubles. But if you paid in 24 hours, or if you paid in a certain time frame, it was 50% off.
Okay. So it wasn't cash at the moment.
No, it wasn't cash. Yeah. It wasn't pay the officer
That's
right
another
there.
thing.
They were real legit. They printed out this thing, and they said, you have 2 weeks to pay it, and it'll be half price if you do. So, but I paid it on my phone. I paid it through my banking app that was connected to the Russian police system,
Right.
and I just paid the money like I would send you money on Venmo or PayPal.
Yeah.
So really, really cool. I was like, I don't have to go to the station. I don't have to wait in lines. I just put in a code of the fine, the sheet that I was given, and just pay it. So really, really, really interesting. And one of the things that totally just excites me every time is, I'm also from New York, and we don't have internet in our subways, but we here in Moscow Metro can go down 100 meters in the ground, because that's roughly about the depth of most of the metro lines, about 100 meters in the ground, some of them deeper, and you've got working Wi-Fi for free.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It blows my mind.
It's amazing how quickly the Russia and Asia, to a certain extent,
Yeah.
went from nothing to everything
Overnight.
within one generation.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a lot to be said for that about generations in Russia. You have everyone who's under 50 has a cell phone, but very few people over 60 have a cell phone. They live the Soviet life.
Yeah.
They don't trust that process that you just described. That, if they're to be given money, they want to see the money in their hand. Sure. And there's been a problem lately with the quarantine that all these babushkas and dedushkas have been going to the bank to get their cash money because that's how they pay for everything. Right. They wouldn't think to do a card or use their phone to. They
don't trust it. They don't understand it.
Yeah. There's that big information and tech chasm between Soviet life people and new people. And so yes, it is what it is.
It is what it is. That's right. We talked a little bit earlier about your kind of life balancing between I think it's Thailand, right? And Ekaterinburg. So it begs the question: do you live kind of light? Like, do you own a lot of things, or what?
Well, there's a funny thing about James Bond. I was always been a big James Bond fan, and I loved it when he would be in some foreign place. He'd just been tortured. He gets out of the water and he realizes that he's in like Hong Kong or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so his hair's long. He's all messed up. He's got a beard. He walks directly to the Ritz-Carlton, looking like that. And of course, they know him there. He's got bags there, and within 2 minutes, he comes out, shaved, haircut, Savile Row suit. He had everything there. Sure. So I said, when I was a kid, I would see this stuff. I said, that is so cool to just be able to go to a city and just your stuff is there.
Stuff is there, right?
And so even now, of course, if you stay at really expensive hotels, your assistant will call the hotel and say, "Oh, Mr. Boster will be in on Friday. He'll stay for 2 weeks." Well, your stuff is stored there in their big closet, and then when you get there, everything is there from your suits down to your toothbrush is sitting there waiting for you. And so I said, "Isn't that cool to be able to do that?" Now, of course, at my level, it's a much lower level, but the concept is the same. Right. Where I have a bag in Bangkok. At a place I usually stay. I have a bag here in Ekaterinburg, and I carry a bag, a small bag, with me when I go from place to place.
Right.
And so I travel light, and the stuff that I need while I'm there is there.
Now we're living in a very interesting time right now with this quarantining, and a lot of the countries are just on total lockdown. Did you recently come back to Russia from Thailand? Were you in Bangkok recently?
Yeah, well, I was in Bangkok. I left there the 13th of March, and it was a very fortunate turn of events where I was supposed to come to Russia on something like 19 March, and I was talking to my agent here about shows and doing music in Russia, and she said, "Oh, I have shows for you a week before that, so you have to come a week early."
Right.
And so it put me on a plane. I was able to buy the ticket, put me on a plane on the 13th of March, and did some shows in Kirov, and then by the time I came back to Ekaterinburg, on the more like the 17th or 18th, well, that's when the lockdown started. So at that moment, I considered myself just lucky.
Now, I want to ask you about something you said regarding finding your own way, the zen of one's life. Could you go into detail? Explain what you were.
You have to go where you belong, where you can calm down and be comfortable. Make your life simple. Don't try to make your life more complex. I know a lot of people in Thailand. God bless them, 60, 70-year-old guys. They go to Thailand. They marry some Thai girl, get children. Like 60-year-old guy, with a 2-year-old or a 5-year-old.
Sure.
Well, when you're that age, I'm sorry, but you need to start, slowing down and relax. But when you get married and start having children, well, especially the wife is expecting you to ramp it up.
Uh-huh.
You have to increase your energy. And so for me personally, I'm thinking no 65-year-old guy needs to have children under the age of 10. And of course, there are many stories in Thailand specifically about Thai wives
Yeah.
basically taking their foreign husbands for everything they've got. So there's guys who are in their 60s and 70s living in some condo, broke. All their money that they had is gone. Their dreams are gone, and they jump off the balcony. Happens every week, and there's a name for it. It's called the Pattaya Flying Club. So I always say to myself, when you get older, you have to keep your money, your dignity, and your self-respect close to you, because those are the three things that are most important as you get older. And so you have to be protective of those things. You have to simplify everything down to those three things and keeping those things close to you. And then it gives you peace.
I just read a quote the other day. It said, hard choices, easy life, easy choices, hard life.
Well, it's most important that, for a man anyway, that they understand their options.
If they have options, because these people that are a part of this club that you're talking about in Pattaya, they don't see another option.
Right.
And that's scary.
Scary. Yeah. And of course, I'm not necessarily pragmatic or talking down about women, especially Russian women. But
no.
But certainly Russian women are very pragmatic. They're very practical. And I have a couple of Russian friends who met a girl that they liked very much. And sure enough, the first thing they did when they found this girl that they liked very much, they bought a car, and then they got a nice apartment because they know that that's the minimum requirement. And so guys. Yeah. Foreigners or Russians, if they want to get married, they have to understand very, very completely what their requirements are.
Hey, everybody. This is your host, Steve, talking. You are listening to the Get Up and Get Out podcast. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. This is episode 009 with Stefan Boster, and we are getting into some really great topics with some great tips. We really hope you stick around. Let's get back into the show and listen to more of Stefan's life. Do you have a bucket list? Do you have some things that you still haven't done that you'd like to do?
Well, I'm not political by nature.
Okay.
But I would love to meet Putin.
Okay.
I'm not for or against him and all that.
You guys hear that?
But I would love to shake his hand and tell him about me, and I think that would be just like I did meet the president of Dagestan once.
Okay.
And I met the governor of Perm region, things like that. But for me, it was all about, I wanted to see these guys that are in power, that are really kind of down to earth guys.
Right.
I wanted them to know that I was here, and I was here for the right reasons.
Yeah. That's
basically it. But I have joked before about meeting Putin, but of course you can't get within a square kilometer of him unless you're invited. But anyway, but you have to take you have to find little joys every day and concentrate on that. For me, anyway, it's not big things that I need to do. It's enjoying, like cooking bacon and eggs when you haven't had it for a few weeks, or walking down the street in Penang and seeing the houses on a block and watching people living real life. It's like the lessons you learn are more intimate. For me, it has to be like intimate little visions of real life.
Right.
And if I can see that as often as I possibly can and take that all in, so I can be empathetic about the world around me, well, it's a continuing bucket list. It's like a continuing joy and a continuing kind of a realization of the things that I find a benefit for because of the choice I've made to live this life. Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, I usually say it's about my keeping my cup full.
Yes.
Yeah. Keep your cup full.
Absolutely.
You know.
The more your cup is full, the more you can give. Absolutely. And you can learn, empathy and kindness. And if you are representing yourself as a person and as an American, and you can show the world kindness, and they can maybe change their idea about Americans, especially in Russia, because there are a lot of Russians who hate Americans because of what they've been taught to hate Americans. But if you can show them something else, I used to say when I was teaching at the Polytech in Perm, my greatest joy was, as an American, I was shocked and pleased, an American in Russia telling young Russian people of this new generation that they can make their dreams come true, and to see their eyes light up and smiling because their parents don't really say that, maybe, or their society doesn't say that. But to get the light to go on in their head, that when you put yourself in a situation that is just so rare, it's like a musician playing and seeing someone crying because your song is sad, or to see people dancing because your music is happy. It's the same kind of thing. And I used to say many times, a great balance in my life for decades was on a Thursday, I would see maybe 3 or 4 people die, babies, grandmothers. I'd see them dying at the hospital. And then on Friday, I'd go DJ a wedding or be with my band and see people get married, everybody crying because they're so happy.
Sure.
It's that balance of joy, joy of pain that could kind of like keep you from going crazy like that. And many times at the hospital, if some old person died, I would try to go immediately to the place in the hospital where they were making babies.
Yeah.
and so I'd go from grandma dying to baby's first cry, in 10 minutes. I said, and that settled me down and said, all right, this is the way it works. People die, people are born, but you got to seek those things out. You got to seek those things out.
Stefan, I want to take a moment and just acknowledge you and say thank you for sharing your life with us. We talk about them being stories, but I mean, these are personal stories, and these stories are a part of you and who you are. So I just want to say thank you for coming on the show and sharing your life with us and giving us some insights, some tips, some tricks. Learn the language, have the connections. Have an open mind.
Don't come here for love. Yeah.
If there's anything about coming here for love, it's love of knowledge, love to learn, love to experience something different and not have any judgment. It's very easy to come here as a European or as an American and start pointing fingers and saying, well, it's better where I'm from. And these are very easy things.
The worst thing to do. Yeah.
We've come into contact with these people and we choose to turn away and find the exit real quick. But this show does like to share individual stories like yours and show people, and no offense, but it doesn't matter how old you are, to make your dreams come true.
Yeah.
That you can go out and do it. All you got to do is make the choice.
Yep.
So I want to say thank you again. And if you have any, I'm gonna ask, maybe you can you have a song up your sleeve or something. But before you do, just think about that. But is there anything you'd like to tell our listeners that you haven't said yet?
Well, I think that it's very important, whatever you do, is that you have to think it through and understand your options fully before you make a decision. And then once you make that decision, you can't have any regrets, because regret is the worst thing that you could possibly do. And also, if you're a younger person and you're trying to see the world and have a fun-filled life, try to remember that if you didn't plan for when you're my age, well then you're not going to have very many options. People who have no money have no options, and so planning for the future and having that in mind. Yes, having now in mind also, enjoying now is important, but planning for the future is also equally as important.
Plan. No regrets.
You got to have a plan, and you have to think it through. Yeah.
Stefan, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's really been a pleasure. I really hope that this is the beginning to an additional connection for both of us. You are a fascinating guy, and if you might have a song to close us out.
Well, it's my favorite song for people's birthday. It's an old Russian song, and it's "May there always be sunshine, may there always be blue skies, may there always be mama, may there always be you." Pust всегда будет солнце, пусть всегда будет небо, пусть всегда будет мама, пусть всегда будет вам.
Молодец. Really good. Stefan, thank you so much. And thanks for being on the show. We'll definitely be keeping in touch.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Пока.
Thank you to Stefan for coming on the show today. It just goes to show you guys that you are never too old for regrets, and you are never too old to live the life that you desire. The main takeaway from today's show: many people will come into your life, but only a few of them will be a catalyst to something great. So be ready for them. We want to thank you guys for joining us today. We truly appreciate your time, and we hope that today's show brought you some great tips and some powerful positivity and motivation. If today's message was powerful for you, consider sharing this episode with someone who might benefit, or consider leaving us a review over on iTunes. You know, it really doesn't matter if it's 1 star or 5. Reviews are a great way of sharing your thoughts. We are always striving to be better than the last episode, and your feedback is really appreciated. In addition, each review helps us to spread the word about what we're trying to accomplish here on the Get Up and Get Out podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, or you know someone who might be a great guest, please send us an email at guest@gugopodcast.com. That's guest@gugopodcast.com. Feel free to follow us over on Instagram at Stephen Crissell, or over on Facebook at the Get Up and Get Out podcast Facebook page. As always, our podcasts are edited by Valery Lugov, and our music is by Thomas Skalderberg, and it's entitled Celebration of Life. Once again, thanks for joining us today. This has been the Get Up and Get Out podcast. I've been your host, Steve Crissell, and remember, the only way to get what you want may just be get up, get out, and discover the world on your terms. Until next time.